This is not financial advice. This is not legal advice for entertainment, educational purposes only. And anything I say is my opinion. Please don't make any financial decision based on anything I say in these videos. Listen, double check you're still subscribed to the channel. Double check your notifications are on. And if you hit that like button or comment, make sure it's working properly, because they are working overtime suppressing the channel, suppressing the videos, because they don't want more people becoming aware of all the fraud and corruption in the stock market. Listen, the SEC does not want to do anything about the fraud and corruption in the United States stock market, okay? They sit on the sidelines and practice willful blindness while overwhelming fraud and corruption goes on every day, especially in AMC, GME, MULN, NWBO, GNS, and the evidence of the fraud and the corruption is so overwhelming. It is so overwhelming that every day retail investors are sending the SEC emails to their enforcement email address complaining about the fraud and corruption in the play. So what does the SEC do? Do they start compiling this evidence so that they can do a proper investigation about the fraud and corruption in the play? No, that is not what they do. What the SEC does is they go inside their enforcement at SEC email and they configure it to kick out any emails that mention fraud, that mention naked shorting, that mention spoofing. I mean, it's absolutely crazy. If you send an email to the enforcement area of the SEC and you mention market manipulation, you mention fraud, you mention spoofing, you mention anything like that, the system kicks out your email. I sent them an email with evidence of all the fraud and corruption in the MULN play, and they send me back an email telling me that they don't take emails that mention fraud, corruption, naked shorting, spoofing, anything like that. If you have anything like that, if you're mentioning fraud, corruption, anything like that into your emails, the system rejects your emails and sends you back a generic email. Would you believe that? That they don't even want to know about the fraud and corruption in the stock market. They have programmed their email not to accept emails that talk about the fraud and corruption in the United States stock market. What does that tell me? That tells me that they are being flooded with emails about the fraud and corruption, and they're still doing absolutely nothing about it. Do you think they would have had to go into their email and adjust it to not accept emails that mention fraud, corruption, spoofing, naked shorting? They would not do that unless they were being overwhelmed with emails about the fraud and corruption. It's absolutely sickening that our SEC has now set up their email account to not accept any emails that complain about the fraud and corruption in the United States stock market. Yet they claim they protect retail investors. Yet they claim they protect the market. But they refuse to accept emails that complain about the fraud and corruption. Make that make sense. The SEC only cares about the 1%. They don't care if the 1% rob and steal from retail investors, from pension funds, and from institutions that follow the rules. And this email protocol that they have is further evidence that they don't care about protecting retail investors. They don't care about protecting the market. Anyway, please leave some comments. Tell me what you think. Do you think it's absolutely outrageous that the SEC enforcement email address refuses to accept emails that talks about fraud and corruption in the United States stock market? Anyway, Have a great day. God bless, and I appreciate y'all on this journey with me.